So we're looking at how to start career in cybersecurity. So this webinar is in like 3 phases. So I'm going to give a lecture just about 30-40 minutes on how to start career in cybersecurity based on my own experience as well. Then I've got about 4 or 5 people that are already in cybersecurity profession that will be able to share their own experience as well, how they managed to dive into cybersecurity career and how they've been able to maintain that. They'll be sharing that with you. They're going to have about 10 minutes each. Some of them are past students of LINSEC and Penite. Then there'll be room for question and answer. So who am I? My name is Remy Afon. I'm a cybersecurity consultant. I'm the founder of LINSEC. It's a cybersecurity company that's mainly based in Nigeria. I'm also a co-founder of Penite, which is also a cybersecurity company in UK and has got a branch in Nigeria as well. I'm the president of Cybersecurity Expert Association of Nigeria, EC Council certified instructor, PCB certified trainer. I did my master's in information security at the prestigious Royal Holloway University of London about 11 years ago. I've got MBA, CISSP, and some certification to mention. So I've been into cybersecurity. I've been in this career for close to 12 years. And prior to that, I was doing the system support, IT, core IT, before moving into cybersecurity. So that's enough about myself. So cybersecurity, I believe most of us already know what cybersecurity is all about. But there are 3 things that are quite key when we're talking about cybersecurity. We're trying to protect and ensure there's a confidentiality, there's integrity and availability, so that information don't get exposed to wrong people. Wrong people don't, try to change information. For example, we maintain integrity of data. For example, if someone was able to hack into a bank account and change the figure or move money from one place to another, that's integrity being dealt with. And also availability. We've been hearing a lot in the news about denial of service attack, bringing down systems and making them unavailable. So in security, that's what we call CIA. And the job of a security professional is to ensure that this CIA are ensured, the confidentiality of data in the organization, the integrity of the data, and the availability. So you can also add what we call traceability as well, because you want to trace back what happened. If an incident happened, because it's just a matter of when that incident is going to happen, that cyber attack is not going to happen. It's not a matter of if. So when it happens, you want to be able to trace it back and be able to know what really happened. So I can say there are 3 pillars in cybersecurity that, these 3 pillars make up cybersecurity. We've got the people, the process, and the technology. So those are the 3 things that are quite important. And I'm going to explain as we move on so that you'll be able to decide which area you want to dive into. So why do you want to choose a career in cybersecurity? For joining this webinar, I'm sure you want to really dive into cybersecurity. So I'm going to share with you a pool. So I want you to, select why you want to choose a career in cybersecurity. So the poll is on, so you can start. Is it because it's an in-demand career option? There's a great salary prospects, there are a range of opportunities to grow, or you are passionate about security, job satisfaction. All these four are valid, and the kind of major reasons why people go into cybersecurity. So I just want to have a feel so that we understand why you want to move into cybersecurity. So let's continue. I'll stay, get to the pool, but let's take them one by one. In terms of in-demand career, one of the benefits of having cybersecurity skills is that you'll be in high demand from employers. Cybersecurity is one of the career and profession that has got zero unemployment rates, because there is a significant shortage of talent in this sector. So what that means is that the organizations are having to compete for the best employees. It's one thing to employ someone, it's another thing to make sure that they keep that person, because they keep moving from one place to another. The cybersecurity professionals. So cybersecurity jobs reports that about 3.5 million openings in 2025. That's what's going to be available. And that's according to Cybersecurity Ventures. Also, according to a research that was done by PayScale, the average salary for cybersecurity professionals in UK stands at $45,000 per annum. And that is for people that are just joining, the new entrant into cybersecurity. But those that are in senior and specialist role, they can earn significantly more than that. So, a CISO earns between 90,000 and 142,000. Security engineers earn up to 90,000 to 110,000. So the more you specialize in a particular area, the more your earning capacity. Then, so that's talking about great salary prospects, if that's the angle you want to look at it from. Those that are doing contracting, the average salary per day is £500 to £800 per day. If you be moving on to like CISO level, then you'll be looking at £1,000 per day. So there are a range of opportunities to grow in cybersecurity. So you can start from like a security analyst, then later on you look at areas that you want to specialize in and move into that. And from there, you can move on in your career ladder to become a chief information security officer, which is CISO. Then there's a survey that was done where we're talking about passionate about security job satisfaction. People that are doing cybersecurity, the cybersecurity professionals, they are the one that reported highest level of job satisfaction of any IT role. So that's to tell you that it's an area that you should look into if you are actually interested in job satisfaction. So I'm going to end the poll and let's see what people are thinking about. So let me share the results. So you can see that I think a lot of people are in between, passionate about, they're looking for job satisfaction and a range of opportunities to grow, 38. Then salary prospects is quite low and in-demand career option. I would have thought the salary prospect would be number one, but yeah, it's quite interesting that it's the passion, and that's quite key. You need to be passionate about security, and that's what's going to keep you going, not just the salary. So that's good to know. So what are the cybersecurity career paths? So that cybersecurity can be divided into two. You look at the technical side of things and the non-technical side. So you don't need to be 100% technical before you move into cybersecurity. We've seen people that have zero technical background and they're into cybersecurity and doing well. So it's just for you to decide which area you want to move into. So the technical side, and this is more than, the list is endless, but I just listed just the common ones and just a few. We've got the security operations. Basically, we're looking at red and blue teaming. Red team, they are the ones that are trying to attack the organization, looking for loopholes. The blue team are the one that, protecting the organization, ensuring that, every controls are in place. So most organizations now these days have blue team and red team to look at their posture and be able to understand how attackers are going to move into. And that can be a SOC analyst in terms of blue team, security operation center, where they try to look at alerts and intrusions that are coming into the organization and be able to respond as quickly as possible. They use tools to do that mostly. They monitor what we call SIM tools, security information and event management tools, to be able to detect any malicious activity going on within the organization. Then we have the threat intelligence analysts that try to look at internally what are the threats that we can find and be proactive about it, or also external threats, and that will involve sometimes going into social media and also going into dark web to see what kind of threats the organization face. There are tools that can be used to do that as well. Then we've got the penetration tester, the ethical hacker that pretend to be an hacker. They simulate hacking. They try to look for vulnerabilities within the organization, try to hack into the system to see the vulnerabilities, so that the organization will be able to deal with that vulnerability and fix it before the attacker see that. You don't want attackers to see your vulnerability first before you fix it. So, and that's the work of a penetration tester, the ethical hacker. The incident response team member, whenever there's an incident, I just said earlier that cyber attack is a matter of when, it's not a matter of if. So the incident response team, they are the one that will quickly invoke incident response plan and ensure that you quickly contain whatever attack that is going on within your organization. And it comprises of not just the security people, the technical guys as well, the network, the database guy, because you need them also to perform some certain functions. Then we've got the vulnerability management analyst that runs vulnerability scan and ensure that different teams fix those vulnerabilities that have been discovered within the organization. Then application security is gaining a lot of traction these days. We have what we call a DevSecOps engineer, because now DevOps is growing in terms of organization adopting the DevOps methodology, agile methodology, whereby you don't wait till the end before you inject security into your pipeline, into your software development. So from the moment you start coding to when you are going to put it into production, you need to inject security at every stage. And that's why there are so many automated tools these days for testing within security testing from the beginning to the end. We have what we call static application security testing, dynamic application security testing, and so on and so forth. So the work of a DevSecOps engineer is to ensure that all these tools are injected at every stage of what we call the CI/CD pipeline, the continuous integration, continuous deployment pipeline, and ensure that teams are fixing those vulnerabilities. Because these days you discover that that's quick to market in terms of application development, that's rapid application development, and people want to quickly deploy into production. So in those days, you wait until the application is being developed fully, then you now try to run vulnerability scan on it. Then you now get the team to fix it. But now, and that would delay. That might really delay, because if you find some bugs and vulnerabilities, it might take ages for them to fix it. But if you start fixing it from the beginning, and that's what we call shift left. Then we've got the security engineers that look at all the tools within the organization, ensuring that the security tools are being run properly, and we are getting the maximum value from those tools. And some of the security engineers are, if it's a cloud security engineers, they get involved in developing some templates that are automated within the cloud environment. So for cloud security engineer, like AWS, Azure, GCP, you might need some level of programming to be able to do some kind of deployment within the cloud environment, automate some security tasks within the cloud environment. Then we've got the security architects who looks at the organization holistically. He looks at any infrastructure, any application that you want to deploy within the organization, and look at it from security point of view. What are the things that need to be done? And how do you make sure that there are no vulnerabilities? All the security controls are in place. So that's that for the technical, and the list is quite long, but those are the very common ones. Then we have the non-technical ones. You might be someone that is not really keen about technical, using a lot of tools. So in technical, that means you are looking at governance, risk, and compliance. That's what the non-technical is all about. We've seen people that were previously technical that move on to the GRC, the governance, risk, and compliance. It's more of a management role. Then the top among the list is the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, who is the head of the security. So that's at highest level, at the C level. He is at the same level as the CIO, the Chief Finance Officer, and so on and so forth. Because security now is getting visibility. Organizations don't put information security under IT. It's a separate function also. If it's under IT, that means the CISO will now be reporting to the CIO and so on and so forth, or the head of IT. But making it a separate function is the best practice. Then we have cybersecurity consultants, which I call a security generalist. A security generalist is someone that has got a wide experience, and they do what we call a consultancy for organizations. If an organization wants to, for example, procure or move from on-prem into cloud, so they can get a consultant to look at what are the security controls that need to be in place, how do they do their migration successfully, and so on and so forth. So that's the job of a security consultant. So a little bit of technical as well. So I can say it's in between. So security consultant, they've got technical knowledge as well as non-technical knowledge. But the reason why I put it under non-technical is that most of the time you do meetings, you talk to stakeholders, so you need those kind of soft skills. Then we have the GRC analyst, someone that does governance, risk, and compliance, everything all together. But that can be divided into these policy development. Some organizations have them separately. You have a policy development analyst. We have information security policy within organizations, so that people need to comply with. So a policy development analyst develops a policy that people follow and ensure that that the organization-wide, the policy is being complied with. And from time to time, they update the security policy. It might be due to audit requirements. It might be due to new technology coming in. For example, during the pandemic, a lot of people are working remotely. So some organizations that did not have that kind of remote working. So they need to come up with a kind of remote working policy, which might not be in place at that time. So it's the job of a policy development analyst to be able to develop those policies. Then we have a risk assessor. So you still need a little bit of technical knowledge, but not as high as the technical point of view. So risk assessor, you're looking at risk that applications, infrastructures, or whatever poses to your organization. So you look at the business risk, in terms of the applications or infrastructure you have within your organization. What are the risks? You try to do what we call a risk assessment and be able to come up with controls that need to be put in place. Then you might have third-party applications or third-party that are supplying you with services. So you might, as a risk assessor, you need to do what we call third-party risk assessment, to ensure that they are compliant and all the security controls are in place. So some organizations do have just, people dedicated to that. They are called third-party security risk assessor. Some organizations, you combine the two. Then we have controls and compliance analysts. They are security controls that need to be met within the organizations. So the control and compliance analysts, they run what we call controls. It might be monthly, it might be quarterly, and look for gaps where people are not putting those controls in place and try to make sure that the impacted teams put in those controls. Then we have a data protection analyst. So sometimes some organizations do have data protection unit that's separate from, from information security, but some do have it under information security. You heard about GDPR and the impact. So data protection analysts look at it from data protection point of view to ensure that the organization complies with any regulation, data protection regulation, within the country or within the region and even outside the country, and how data is being moved from one place to another. Then we have a security awareness analyst. You know that the people who are the closest and the weakest link, in terms of cyber attack. Most cyber attacks take place by just a click on the phishing link. So the job of a security awareness analyst is one, when you are onboarding new members into your organization, new employees, to ensure that they are aware, they know about the security of the organization in terms of teaching them about what they need to know to make sure that they are safe within the organization, so that they don't just perform that kind of activity that might impact on the organization. So they teach them a lot of things about phishing, about how to protect their personal data.
Mr. Remy, your volume has gone down. I don't know if you disconnected your mic or something.
Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, it's much louder now.
All right. Okay. So that's a security awareness analyst, and then they run phishing simulation as well. The tools that try to test people and know their level of recognizing the phishing link. So there's quite a lot of interesting areas that one can specialize in. So what are the skills needed for cybersecurity? Because I know that's the next question you're going to ask. So, listen all these bits that are kind of juicy. So what are the skills that I need? You need some hard skills, so the level that you want to get into is an individual thing. You need to understand network architecture, how does network fit? You need to understand data and cryptography. We're talking about how to encrypt your data at rest, in transit, so that And then, if it's not technical that you're looking at, you just need to understand it and at a very high level. But if it's technical, you might want to go deep into cryptography and the types of cryptography, cipher suits and so on and so forth. Then you need to understand some common operating systems, Windows, the Linux. These days we are using container now. We look at container security as well. Then you have to understand the common cyber attacks, cyber attack methodologies. How do attackers gain entrance into your organization, academy? What are the hacking methodologies that are now trending? And cloud computing, because most organizations are now moving into the cloud. Artificial intelligence, machine learning are optional, but that's the next level. So you should be thinking about understanding what that is as well, because now most organizations are now using AI and machine learning for their security operations center. So you also need some soft skills. You should be able to collaborate with others. You don't work in silos because you deal with different teams. You should have attention to details. And that's quite important for example, people that are working in the security operations center, to be able to identify some anomalous behavior. You should be curiosity, creativity, have some leadership skills, and also some project management skills. SANS has listed some coolest careers in cybersecurity. If you go to SANS website, you see all these careers that are cool in cybersecurity. You have the threat hunter, the red teamer, forensic analyst. And we now have what we call purple teamer. I mentioned the red team and blue team, but the purple teamer, these are the guys that have knowledge of blue team and red team and try to automate those activities. We have the intrusion detection analyst, the cloud security analyst, pen tester, DevSecOps engineer, vulnerability researcher, and exploit developer, and so on and so forth. So there are so many cool career that you want to move into. So there's this guy that said a fool with a tool still remains a fool. I like that. And what does that mean? There are 3 T's of cybersecurity. I gave a complete lecture on that, in a different seminar. It's all about talent, it's all about tools, and all about techniques. Once you've got those 3, you're good to go. So what's the roadmap to cybersecurity career? And this is not a one-size-fits-all, so depending on individual, but you might be able to pick 1 or 2 things from there. And that's the template I follow as an individual. So I'm sharing from my own personal experience. Follow cybersecurity news and trends. That's quite key. Even if you are already a cybersecurity professional, it's quite important to follow the cybersecurity trends and news. And I'm going to share with you some of how you can follow cybersecurity trends and news. Training is key. There's so many free training, and if you want to go for paid as well, you can go for paid. So depending on individual, but mind you, free training mostly will give you just the surface. It's just scratch the surface. But if you really want to dive into it, you will get to a certain point in time, you just have to pay for it. And that's when it becomes very shocking for people, because when they see how much people charge, organizations charge for training, and also for their certification, they tend to be shocked. So why will you charge so much for cybersecurity training? Then you need to get some hands-on experience. You can ask me that I haven't gotten the job, so how can I get hands-on experience? There are ways you can get hands-on experience, which I'm going to explain in the next slide. It's a subsequent slide. You can create your own virtual lab and some others. I'll explain that better later. then you need to earn a certification. So because you need to validate your knowledge. And how do you validate your knowledge? You need an independent kind of validation from organization that say, okay, you're telling people I'm quite good here, but how do we know? So you need to validate yours by earning a certification so that people know really it's got that knowledge. That's like a third party validation. Then it's quite important to join cybersecurity professional groups as well, because by that you interact with others, you learn a lot of things from their seminars, from their webinar, and from their conference that they do organize. So it's quite key. And you can also get mentorship from there. So how do I get into cybersecurity with no experience? Yeah. So we got into that stage. So you grow your network, because that's the question we really want to answer. So if I don't have experience, how do I dive in? Grow your network, learn, continue to learn. It's a continuous thing. Connect with potential mentors. Stay current with your knowledge, and also develop your professional profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, try to develop that, and start updating it. Then I'll break all this down. How do I do that? So you do that by watching the YouTubes, or listening to podcasts, attending cybersecurity events, subscribe to free online training. There are so many. Belong to a cybersecurity group. Have a virtual lab for those that want to move into technical area, and have at least one certification. So watch. What do I need to watch on YouTube? There are so many cybersecurity channels that you can. These are some of the ones I subscribe to, like Capacity Security Now, Black Hat Security Weekly, Sophos IT Security, Malware, Geek, Graham Cooley, and PC Security. So I'm going to share the slides to all the attendees later. Then the link is there. Just click on it. It's going to land you on the channel. Then listen to cybersecurity podcasts. That's quite key. I do listen to. There are a long list, but my favorite is CyberWire. And the reason is that it's just about 10, 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, maximum 20 minutes. So early in the morning, just play that one. And it's going to tell you the latest cybersecurity news. So, there's Risky Business, Security Weekly, Security Now. Some of them are quite long. Internet Storm Center, Stormcast is not quite, I think that one is just about 5-10 minutes. Exploring Information Security, Recorded Future, Darknet Diaries. All these are nice cybersecurity podcasts that will assist your professional career and make you up to date. Even people that are already there, you need to be listening to them. So attend the cybersecurity events. There are several virtual events that you can attend. Cybersecurity conferences. A lot of them are free, so it's quite key to attend that so that you keep yourself up to date. Then subscribe to free online training. I've mentioned that already, and these are a list of online training that you can subscribe to. You've got the Cybery, Springboard, SANS, Tenable, Qualys. The good thing about Tenable and Qualys is because they are vulnerability management tools, Qualys. So if you want to learn about vulnerability management, you can just register for Qualys or Tenable Nexus, and it gives you some virtual lab where you can practice, and at the end of the day, you get your certification. All these are free. So I've also, incorporated the links that will land you to this in that presentation. So belong to a cybersecurity group. There are so many cybersecurity groups. So I'm going to promote my own association. The Cybersecurity Association of Nigeria has been doing fantastically well to ensure that people that want to move into cybersecurity have been encouraged, and within the organization too, there's mentorship available. people interact with people that are already well grounded in security. Then there's ISACA, there's ISC Square, and Information Security Forum, and so many groups that you can belong to. Then, in terms of gaining experience, hands-on experience, if you can find organization to volunteer, you can develop your own virtual lab and start practicing stuff. You start running stuff on like Kali Linux, the Parrot, the Cade, and start practicing there. If you go to GitHub, you see a lot of security tools and how to do some of these security activities. So in terms of certification, like I said, it's quite key to have at least one certification when you are moving in, because that validates your experience. The CISSP is one of the leading ones, but I'm not going to advise that you go into that immediately if you're just coming. And the entry point level is CH, you move into ISO, CH, Certified Technical Hacker if you want to move into technical area, or ISO 27001 if you are looking at non-technical area, because that will teach you a lot of things about policy development, about risk assessment, and so on and so forth. There's CompTIA Security Plus as well, OSCP. SANS has got some security certification, but SANS is quite expensive. We're talking about from 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 to dollars and 5,000 pounds for those. So then we have certified cloud security professionals. So depending on the area that you want to dive into, so I recommend that you get at least one certification, and that brings us to our organization, LINSEC. So we've got LINSEC and PENIC. So okay, why do you have to? So LINSEC, like I mentioned earlier, it's based in Nigeria and doing a lot of training and certification for individuals and organizations. And the sister company in UK is PENIC. So the training and certification exams that we run, we've got the cybersecurity basics and fundamentals. That's not a certification exam, it's just training. So what this does is exposes you, to the basics of cybersecurity, the fundamentals, introduce you to some tools, and also policy development, risk assessment. It's just for somebody that just want to move into cybersecurity. I recommend this, just to have a broader idea of cybersecurity. Then from there, if you're thinking, oh, I'm not really sure which area I want to dive into. So by the time you finish this course, you'll be able to decide. Then we have the, certified ethical hacking, you do the training and the certification, computer hacking and forensic investigation, training and certification, ISO 27001, lead implementer, training and certification as well, lead auditor. Then we've got lead cloud security manager, which we just added. So these are the schedule in terms of training that will be coming up for those that might be interested. The ISO 27001 is the next training we're going to have. That's going to start in April 2nd, 3rd, 9th, and 10th. So mainly what we do is, because we know that people are working, so we do weekend training, Saturday and Sunday, a whole day. So over 2 weekends, you do the training, and then at your own time, you schedule the exam, which is basically online, and it's being put on by PECB. So with the cybersecurity basics, that's going to come up in the 22nd and 24th of April. So if you're interested, just email training@linsec.com for anyone that might be interested in any of these. Then we have the CH. The ethical hacking, that's scheduled for June. Those that are really interested in being technical, training and certification as well. And the last but not the least is just talking about this association, our organization, the LINSEC. You link up with us at LINSEC official at Penite on Twitter, so that you'll be able to follow us, and any training or webinar or free that we want to that we advertise, you'll be able to get us as quickly as possible. Then our Instagram account is LINSEC official, and can link us on that website as well, or email training at linsec.com. But if you want to, connect with me as an individual, my Twitter is at Remy Afon, so you can, link up with me there. Or also link up with me on LinkedIn. Ping me if you have any question. So I think I'm going to stop here and get others to share their own experience. So let me check with around that can start with. Is Symbiat there? So Samila, do you have Symbiat online?
I can't see her at the moment. Do you want to do a brief Q&A while I follow up?
Or she could delete too. Okay, no, I think I'll Ade can come in.
Okay.
So I'll just make. I'm not sure whether Ade want to share or not screens, but I'm gonna make Ade co-host. Ade is it's a cybersecurity architect, so he's gonna talk about security architecture in terms of anybody that's interested in that particular area. What's the day-to-day activities of a cybersecurity architect? So Ade, can you come on board? You've got the floor now.
Right, good morning all. So I have.
Looks like you're not loud enough.
Oh, okay, just 1 second.
Do you want to share the screen or not?
No, I'm not sharing, I'll just talk through.
All right.
Am I audible?
Yes, sort of.
Just 1 second. Just trying to sort that out. Just a moment.
Is it better?
Yeah, of course. Very much better.
Yeah, just 1 second. Okay, so I just want to talk through security architect, becoming a security architect. Just to give a bit of a background about myself, I've got 15 years plus experience overall, perhaps going near 20 in the field. I have a master's in information security. I have a number of vendor-based certifications. I have CEH. Currently, I'm working as a cloud security consultant. So I've got some certifications in AWS and Azure. So I'm kind of leaning towards security, perhaps in the cloud environment, but I'll talk holistically about security architects and what it means and how you get into this role. Now, security architecture really means understanding the business objectives. So it's a top level role. It's not an entry level role. You need a lot of years of experience to get into security architecture. So it's understanding business objectives and how you then align the security requirements and controls with those objectives. So you're going to be looking at things from a very high level. So, I mean, security architects, management individuals who oversee the security of an organization. These professionals, from the outset, when the network is designed or built and implemented, they need to manage the security and also the entire life cycle of the network. So a security architect will oversee any changes made to the network so that the network changes don't put the organizations at risk. So it's important that the security architect understand what the risk appetite of the organization is. You know, so according to Leighton Johnson, he says that the security architect creates plans and provide guidance on implementation of security solution for the organization. And besides that, you need to be knowledgeable about systems, network, computing, stuff around perimeter security, such as firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, network access controls, network segmentation, wireless security, routers, switches, VLANs, all the interesting stuff. DNS routing, DDoS mitigation technologies, and perhaps even DevSecOps tooling, cloud platforms. So there's a vast knowledge that you require. And this is quite important so that you can then put all of this together and start designing and creating the guidance for implementing. And when changes are made to that environment, you're also able to plan those changes so that the risk to the organization is minimized. Now, given all the breadth of knowledge, the spectrum of knowledge you need to have, so that means you're talking around maybe 5 to 10 years experience. Now, I personally, I started out at my entry level role was an IT technician many years ago. Then I moved to a systems admin, moved to firewall engineer, network engineer, security specialist, then network security engineer. You know, so before moving into an AWS type role, which was a cybersecurity role, then becoming a cloud security consultant. So the amount of knowledge that you need to gain gives you an understanding of what you need to do. So if you're currently a cybersecurity analyst, that means that you are operating within that space, and you also need knowledge in other areas, depending on your interest, obviously. So if you're looking at other opportunities, just the idea really is to expand your portfolio as much as you can based on your interests, and that would feed into the security architect profile that you're trying to build. You understand that? So it's important that you cover as much ground as possible if you're going for a security architect role, because they need you to be knowledgeable in a lot of areas. And the way you do that is try and move around with your career, whether you're trying to move within your organization or look for opportunities that is outside your comfort zone, and try and push yourself so that you can gain the relevant experience. Now, having said that, so this 5 to 10 years experience of moving to different roles and gaining those experiences, it's also important, just like the Remy Afon has said, that you need to be aware of technology advances and cybersecurity trends. You need to be aware of the development and all these trends, so that can also not just guide the way you move in the industry, but also make you aware of what is going on I mean, you can only do so much at one point in time, but the understanding of what is happening in your space, the development, the innovation that is happening, that would also feed into your knowledge base. You know, you can be able to speak about it. It's like a cybersecurity professional who is trying to prevent an attack. So it's good to understand how is the attacker, how is this attack being done, and what are the countermeasures you can create, you know, to prevent or mitigate those attacks. So it's that kind of mindset. You need to put yourself in the mindset of the attacker as well as the mindset of the professional who is trying to prevent or mitigate it. So it's working with this mindset. The other thing that is also important is, like I said, the risk point of view. When you're looking at a problem, you're probably looking at it from a technical point of view. You also need to look at it from a business point of view. How is it impacting the business? You know, business are about, oh, we need to make sure we don't have vulnerabilities, or these vulnerabilities are addressed, especially if it's a risk-averse organization. You know, you want to make sure that they are addressing, if they are addressing the risk and these risks are being mitigated, but it's also from their point of view. So as a security architect, you're not just looking at, you're not going to be doing day-to-day technical hands-on configuring, implementing. No, that's not going to be your role. You're going to be overseeing, you're going to be designing solutions that those operational guys will implement. And you can foresee that there are vulnerabilities in the organization, and part of your design is to address any vulnerability and make sure that your design covers it. It's kind of the example that Remy also gave about security shifting left, where from the onset of the lifecycle software development, security is not an afterthought. You know, so if you're designing a system that requires maybe a portal to log in, we're looking at input validation, how do users log into it, to the system, what parameters, what is allowed and what is not allowed. You know, we need to set the scene at that point in time. It needs to be tested before we then move on to perhaps the other components of that system. And if it's perhaps an OWASP type system where you're looking at cross-site scripting, SQL injection, you know, you need to put countermeasures in place, or the appropriate design methodology to make sure that you're not creating vulnerabilities that can be exploited through cross-site scripting or SQL injection, just to name a few. So those are some aspects. I know I don't want to also repeat what Remy had also covered about the fact that you need to listen to videos, podcasts, expanding your network, join a cybersecurity, be part of a cybersecurity group, attend events, have labs. This is also part of how you develop yourself, no matter which way you are going, you know. So that understanding of self-development and also those soft skills, you know. So he mentioned soft skills about collaboration, project management. There's some other ones, but what I would like to also mention is you need to have some level of confidence going through this process. You know, we talk about strengthening the security posture of an organization. That will give them confidence. But you as an individual going through this process, you also need to have some level of confidence. And when you are that individual in an organization, in a project meeting, what are you contributing? You know, are you just listening? Are you just being passive? Are you asking questions? Are you in learning mode? This is how we need to also measure what we are doing. It's all good, it's all well and good. We have all these aspirations of what we need to do and how we need to do it, but also the individual themselves, how do they function in a project meeting? They might be new to the project, it might be their first day or their first week, but your curiosity needs to drive questions, you know, so that you are able to then go away and maybe come back with more questions or even lead these meetings. And this is how you grow, you know, how you test yourself. So it's not just going to do certifications. So I'd like to add that to the soft skills. Also, communication skills is very important because you're going to have technical and non-technical audiences, and you need to put your ideas across. As a security architect, that is very key, that you're able to communicate your ideas, your concepts clearly to your audience. And in terms of certification, I think Remy has also covered that. Depending on where you are, the entry level, just like he said, would be CH, would be my recommendation. Then depending on the years of experience that you have, or let's look at it from, excuse me, let's look at it from somebody who's just starting out. So you can go the formal way with a degree or master's, maybe a computer science degree. These days you have information security masters, you have cybersecurity masters, you have some niche master programs that can springboard you. If you want to, if work experience also is valued by employees, people that have good years of work experience. And I'd say that's usually the case in the UK. Work experience is quite valued. Master degree is also valued, but work experience, the employers want to see what you've done and how you've done it. You know, they would go through your CV, maybe line by line. So the certification is a validation, third-party validation, just like Remy said. That's correct. And it gives you a foot in the door because not everybody can have those years of experience of 10 years of, you know, maybe working at 4 or 5 organizations for 10 years. That's very good, especially if you've then moved from maybe entry level to quite high level, and you're now trying to go for this security architect role. Even if you've had those years of experience, you can still do a master's on top of that, you know, so you can combine the experience with studying, and you can combine that even with certification. So everything is valid. You need to make your profile as strong as you possibly can make it, and coupled with the fact that you are up to date with what is happening in your field through news, through podcasts, videos, articles, going to events, expanding your network, even within a circle of friends, you know. So that would feed into your profile, what you're building, your as a security professional. So I think, and I'll just quickly add that the security architect would typically report to a CISO. So that means that if you are a security architect and you've done that role for a few years, and you probably report to a director of security architecture or maybe a CISO, then there's a chance that you can then be looking at CISO as your next hop role. So that gives you an idea of where you are in the food chain. So I think that's everything I'd like to cover. And if you've got questions, I'll be happy to entertain those questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ade, for that insightful. So I just jump onto Hafiz to give us, because you talked about security architecture, so let's have a mix of GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, and also, security consultancy. So Hafiz will tell us more about, the day-to-day activities, probably in five maximum 10 minutes of someone that is in GRC for those that are looking at the non-technical area.
Okay. Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm unable to start my video for some reason because it says the host has stopped it. So I'm just going to carry on anyways.
Okay. I'll give you the, people might want to see your face as well.
Okay.
So you can start it now. I think I've. Okay, cool.
Is it on now?
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Hafiz Ogunukwebi. I'm into cybersecurity, and I've been there for at least for the last 6 to 7 years. And I specialize mostly within the GRC space, which is where it's not as technical as other areas of security. The reason why I went into that space was, basically because I started as a project manager and a business analyst. So there was lots of transferable skills that I could bring onto the table there. I'll try as much as possible not to rehash things that already been said by Mr. Ade and Mr. Remy. So what is GRC? GRC is basically governance, risk, and compliance, which is around governance being, how cybersecurity or information security is governed within an organization. Risk obviously talks about risk management, identifying risk, mitigating the risk, managing of exceptions, and compliance, which is assessing compliance of a system or maybe an organization against industry standards or regulatory standard requirements, as it were. Day-to-day activities in there would mostly aligned be around things like carrying out security assurance of maybe like an application or a project that you're trying to deploy or implement within the organization. So the assessment or the assurance of that system against your in-house information security standard or maybe industry standard security requirements or regulatory requirements like GDPR, as an example. Then as part of that exercise, you'll be identifying the risk within that system or the project, and then using the risk management framework, you'll be using that to then manage that risk across the entire life cycle. So you would identify the risk, log the risk, engage with your stakeholders to agree on a remediation action plan, and identifying the risk owners, which in most cases is the business owner. There has to be a risk owner for every risk identified. And some risk also can then become exceptions, exception 2, which is like a deviation away from the required standard that the system is supposed to comply with. And you would then have to obviously then manage that exception, because exceptions are supposed to be maybe like temporary or what some people would call tactical measures that you put in place in the meantime until when you can then basically put in place a proper control that would help to reduce the severity of that risk. Within the GRC space as well, you could also be like a third-party assurance activities, which comes from the perspective of if you have your third parties, along the supply chain within your business. Before you onboard your third parties, you want to ensure that they have the necessary controls in place to be able to, manage or keep your information or your data that you're going to be, that they will be processing on your behalf safe. Just because you're using third parties to process your data does not necessarily mean that the responsibility of that particular data does not lie with you. So third-party assurance is one very key aspect within cybersecurity that you can actually make a career out of, and every organization tries to have or ensure that their third parties are properly assessed, so which then reduces their exposure to any form of regulatory fines in the event of a breach. You could, so within that, then key skills that you need to be into GRC is mostly around, you need skills like in project management, you need your stakeholder management, you need some form of technical knowledge as well. GRC is not as technical as other areas of security, not necessarily because you don't need technical knowledge at all, but because it's not as hands-on as all the other areas. So it's more of a strategic kind of area where, you are mostly, reading, standards or documents, and then interpreting that requirements into simple language that, other members or stakeholders within the business would need to understand in order for them to be able to comply. Another area within GRC is things like audits. You are carrying out audits of systems or business processes or technologies against, industry standards requirements like NIST, the PCI DSS, and the likes of them. So not trying to take too much of everybody's time. I think I would invite questions now. And, if anyone has any question for me.
Yeah, thanks, Yomi. I think we'll take the questions after the whole, event towards the end, so that at least we can just address all those questions later. Thanks very much. That's quite, quite intensive and straight to the point.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So I think I'm just going to call on Bolaji to just in 5 minutes, the day-to-day activities of a SOC analyst from security operations point of view. What are the things that people need to be looking out for? How's your day like as a SOC analyst? Tell us.
Yeah, that's fine. My senior colleague, Mr. Remy Hafo. Hi, everyone. My name is Bolaji Adeboye. I've been in this industry for a while now. Last couple of years, I've worked in different domains, ranging from security operations, GRC, architecture as well. So today, I'll be running you through what is required on a day-to-day activity within the security operations space. To give you a little background about myself, I came into I started in IT as a your normal IT support analyst. As the years goes on, I work my way into cybersecurity. That's story for another day because I'm very conscious of time. So day-to-day activity of security operation analyst includes monitoring your security what's it called, SIM2. We call it SIM2. That's security. Mr. Remy, what's the full meaning of SIM2? Sorry.
Security incident and event management tools.
Is an incident, okay? And management too. So, what the feeds you're getting from that tool is, to alert you on any use cases that's been configured, to detect any threats to the environment. So, once this triggers, at the moment, a lot of organizations are moving into the cloud as well. So, you need to learn how to monitor within the on-prem, normal on-prem, which is like legacy on-prem systems, and to do monitoring on the cloud as well. When I say cloud, a lot of organizations are moving into Azure. So once a use case trigger within the SIM2, as a security analyst, you pick it up and you try to understand the reason why the alert fired in the first place. To understand, okay, this is what the rule is looking for. Then that helps you to make an informed decision as to what you'll be looking out for in terms of triaging that particular alert. So the two things that you want to be able to identify from such alert is to see, okay, is it true positive or is it false positive? I'll go with the latter, which is, well, if it's false positive, you need to make sure that you know what you're doing before you call it a shot. It's okay before you discard the alert, and make sure that before you discard the alert, you write a proper documentation as to the reason why you feel that particular alert is false positive. And if it's true positive, then they have to escalate. You have to follow this. Then we call it a response playbook, which that particular alert might need to escalate to the relevant team, to apply, the relevant controls in order to mitigate that risk is posed into the environment at that point in time. Some of the teams that you can escalate to is the incident response team, depending on how the tier of within the organization. When I say tier, we have level 1, 2, 3 when it comes to security operations. So level 1, 2 are the people looking at the proactively looking at the security, the SIM tool, ensuring that make sure that whatever alert that's been triggered is being picked up and and in triage. So the tier 3 are the incident responder. You sometimes might need to escalate to them, so they'll be the one to make take further steps in terms of, but maybe they need to contain the endpoint. Machine. When I say endpoint, might be a mobile device, it might be laptops, it might be a desktop, might be a network device sitting somewhere that they feel that must have been targeted and compromised. Sometimes it might be just raising ticket, let's say to the service desk to reset user password. So that's it for working through the triaging incident within the SIM tool. Myself, Mr. Afon would like me to go on and go into other tools.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, thank you very much. So basically, thanks a lot. That's correct. It's just Security Operations Center just monitoring SIM tools basically. So thanks, Balaji. So to let you know that okay, we are gender sensitive. So I'm going to bring in a lady this time around. Symbiat, will be able to give us some tips in terms of cybersecurity and how to dive into that profession. She can share from her own personal experience as well. And so I'll leave Symbiat to introduce herself and also give us some tips. Yeah, it's Symbiat there.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Great. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks to Lintech for organizing this. Okay, I'll just start with a very brief background about myself. My name is Sylvia Tzedek. I'm currently project manager for digital security. I've been in this space for about 5 years. And so I have like a BTech in cybersecurity from Nigeria. And my experience has spanned around different domains of security, from incident response to penetration testing to GRC. And currently I'm project manager. I could share like my journey from having a degree to where I am currently. Hopefully Nigeria will be able to pick one or two if I pinpoint on key advice for people trying to like start out in cybersecurity in Nigeria. So like I mentioned, I have a BTech in cybersecurity from FUT Mina, that's the Federal University of Technology Mina. And if you're in Nigeria, wondering, oh wow, the cybersecurity in Nigeria, yes, there is. Even though when I started, it was just FUT Mina that had cybersecurity as a course. But I know currently there are about 6 to 7 institutions actually have cybersecurity as a degree course. So after I graduated, just after I graduated, really, I started like creating awareness, on cybersecurity using my Twitter account, and from there, I think the first event I actually spoke was a cybersecurity meetup organized by Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria. And I was very visible, to be very honest, in my cybersecurity career, like super visible. And two things that have helped me has been visibility and networking, right? So by visibility, I write a lot. I write about cybersecurity. Well, I used to write a lot. Sorry, I used to write a lot, and then I network with people a whole lot. And I think the third thing that actually helped me was volunteering. I mean, I think last year, towards the end of last year, I was just making a list of all of the volunteering stuff I've done the past 5 years. I'm like, what? I really done a lot of volunteering work, right? And I mean, it has really helped me. It has, built my confidence, helped me to like meet so many people with volunteering. And by meeting people, it means, I mean, when there are like jobs available, they're like, oh yeah, I know Cynthia, I think she does this thing or she knows this thing. Let me reach out to her to see if she's like open to, to this job, or probably she can like make referral. So yeah, so interestingly, all of the jobs I really have to do in Nigeria has been 2 references. Yes, I've applied for jobs, interestingly, but I never really get them, right? But references has really helped me, because I figured that, I mean, someone actually vouching for you is like a very big deal, right? In the cybersecurity space, it just makes the process really easy. And I know there's always like a lot of talk around like certifications as well. Yes, certifications are like really good, but if you're starting out in cybersecurity, it doesn't really have to be, Security Plus, CH, because we understand it can be quite expensive, especially for people in Nigeria. I mean, having to convert in dollars and all of that. It could be, I mean, taking a course on Udemy, Cyberary, and then having it, stated on your resume. So what that does is it gives, whoever is recruiting or looking at your resume, that, sense of, how I put that sense of just that fact that, oh, this person is really interested in security. And then, I mean, he or she is actually putting in the effort to like learn. And I think resume like plays a very big part, right, of, for you to like get a job, or to like move up your career. So I've seen a lot of resumes, to be very honest, and I'm like, even me, I'm not even a recruiter, but I can't even recommend you for this on resume, because yes, it might be like very good, but I think your resume, if it doesn't like speak or provide information on your ability, your skills and all of that, it doesn't really help, because resume is like the first thing that actually gets you to the door, right? So there are like a lot of communities in Nigeria which I've been privileged. I'm actually privileged to be a part of, and they're actually like really helpful. We have the CSAN, we have the Nigeria Sec Force. If you're a woman in cybersecurity, we have She Secure and a whole lot of that. Because of time, I'm just going to like just drop like key points. If you're trying to like start a career in cybersecurity in Nigeria, I think actually works for people in general. First thing is try to get a mentor. Well, not necessarily like a mentor, or try to look up someone that's actually like in the field and what they've been up to. That way you can easily try to follow their steps if you want to. Because one thing about really finding a mentor is it can be really hard, because people are busy, right? People are really busy, and having to handhold people sometimes can be a lot of work, and not everyone has that time to really do that. But mentorship doesn't really mean you have to like reach out to the person every single day. It's about, oh, you're currently learning something, and reach out to the person to say, oh, hey, so I'm currently doing this, and I think I'm stuck with this, please can you help? And no, it doesn't really have to be spelled out as my mentor. It could just be you asking a question directly. Like, I mean, they're like a DM, could be LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, whichever on platform you find them. That way you're able to like learn, right? And also, ask questions from people that have been in the field. Also, if you can build a community of, people like you, like passionate about learning. So yes, it's fine. It's good for you to like join a community of, an existing community and all of that. But I think there's something about having to learn with your peers, right? It's super helpful. It has helped me, while I started my career. You can find like, a pair of 2 to 3 people that you can learn with, like as passionate as you are about, building a career in cybersecurity. It makes it, better for you. And yes, volunteer if you can. There are like a lot of volunteering opportunities out there. Just find an NGO that does work around cybersecurity, reach out to them, ask them if they need like help. They always need help, really. They always need like people to support them to volunteer. So that way you can get into network and community of people. Learn as much as you can, and while you're learning, don't actually forget the basics, because I think we just look up on and just dive into oh, I want to start hacking and all of that, ignoring, the basics, especially for people without IT background. You need to understand, essentials of IT, essentials of networking and all of that, because they're going to, like you can't run away from it, really. It's going to like catch up with you. And I think, and most importantly is, if you can try to like share, we are learning. I think it's a way to stay consistent or to hold yourself like accountable, trying to, share what you learn. For me, really, writing actually helps, things stick. So even when I'm not sharing, maybe like online, I have a book where I probably just like try to write, but I think sharing online actually, gives you a lot of visibility. If you can actually, go through that route. And let me see, yes, utilize your LinkedIn. Really. LinkedIn is like a whole lot of, it's like a different, like a very interesting space, really. And if you can actually harness the power of LinkedIn, in building your career, it's going to be, super, super helpful for you. So, I mean, I could actually start, and talk like for the next 30 to 40 minutes, but and time is like a very short time. So I'm just going to like stop here until there are like any questions for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Cynthia, for that. That's great. Sharing our personal experience and how she managed to move into cybersecurity space and also continue to maintain that space. I think the next speaker is going to be Chico Dili, a lady as well, to tell us our own personal experience. It's Chico Dili, are you there?
Okay, so I can unmute now. I wasn't able to unmute earlier. Good afternoon, everyone. I can't still share my video, so please, if you could disable.
Okay,
you can able share it from
here. Yeah,
okay.
Okay.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I think it's afternoon in Nigeria. I don't know what time it is there. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm happy to be here today. And it's been very interesting listening to everybody. Although I joined a bit late, I apologize for that. Okay, so my name is Chikodi. I'm a cybersecurity consultant with a bit of experience in security architecture, actually. So how did I start? Okay, so let me just take you guys through my experience and how I got here. So I finished from IFE, that's Obafemi Awolowo University. I read computer engineering. And when I was done from school, I just knew that, I'd heard about cybersecurity. And for me, I was thrilled about it and I wanted to know what it was about. I stayed at home before NYSC. And one day I just thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to just talk to different companies and tell them I want to volunteer. And one of the companies said, oh, you know what, this is cool. I mean, we like your guts. Come in and intern with us. So I interned with them for a year. I was working as an IT support engineer. And that time, they made it clear that, to really be good at cybersecurity, you needed to have the foundations of networking on lockdown. I think this is about some 7 years ago. Yes. And when I was done with that, I decided that, okay, now was the time. So I went from supporting the network to supporting security solutions. So rather than just supporting, checking in the data center, doing things around network, I started to support security solutions. And that was when my career in cybersecurity really kicked off. One thing that helped me was that I was always very ready to volunteer to solve problems. And that's one thing that made me such an excellent person when it comes to troubleshooting. I can troubleshoot anything because for me, I spent a lot of time really just delving into problems and trying to solve them with even level 3 engineers. So it was something that really got me into security engineering in itself. So I did security engineering for about 3 years. And then I finally started delving into consulting because people will reach out to my boss and say, oh, your person helped us solve this problem. So we have this problem, or we're trying to move this to this. We're trying to connect our network like this. And then I'll say, oh, okay, I don't know this, but I'll come back to you and I'll go do some research. And then just like that, I somehow delved into consulting and helping organizations manage and architect networks. So that's been my background, really. And for me, what would I advise people who are coming into the industry to think about or to do? The first thing I would say is learn the basics. Now, one thing I find is that a lot of people just want to delve in and start straight up without focusing on the basics. And I find that the more I grow in my career, the more I even go back to the basics. Is is weird, but the basics are very important. You need to understand key things, the protocols that connect that the internet lies on, the protocols that guide the internet, things that the concepts that networking gives us. You need to understand those things very well before you even say, oh, I want to have a career in cybersecurity. When you're done with that, I think one key thing is to also understand what are the careers in cybersecurity, because it's very easy for you to just jump into one area. And then I see a lot of young people, they just start out with picking up CH, which is not bad, but they don't even know why they're picking up CH. They don't even know how their current skills apply, or how the transferable skills they've gained over the years apply to the role that they're trying to achieve. So for me, I would like to tell young people, have a career roadmap for yourself. For me, I knew that, okay, I wanted to do IT, then go into security engineering, and somehow I delved into consulting, but I knew for me that I wanted to be like a senior security architect. So it's somehow tied together. I wasn't just, gaining skills in areas that I wouldn't really need at the end of the day. So that helps you're learning to be grounded. You're not just learning bits and pieces of everything. You're taking one area, specializing in that, and then you can move on to another area. That's one key thing I would suggest. Also, join communities. One of the communities that helped me when I started out was the Niger Sec Force. I remember then I would slide into a number of people's DMs, Roti, me, Eite, me, Fola, a lot of people then. I would just slide into their DMs and tell them, oh, I have this issue. Can you help me out? Oh, I'm trying to get into this box. Can you help me out? And then they were very willing to, jump on calls and help me clarify stuff. And I noticed how I was different amongst my peers by just that singular action of mine. So for me, I always recommend that find a community, because there are two kinds of learning. You learn from mentors, like Symbiac said, and you also learn from your peers. So you have people on that group that are your peers that you can always relate with. And other than learning in the interim, it also helps. A lot of communities that I was in back then, I'm not even in a lot of them now, but there's a community, there's that relationship that we built over the years. So I find that if I need anything, I can easily just call somebody and say, oh, I'm trying to achieve this. How do you think we can work together to do this? And they warm up to you, because you guys may not be best friends, but you share something in common. There's common interest, there's a common goal. So that's one thing also. In the event that you are looking for a job, they know that, oh, I've done some work with this person. I know this person understands this thing. So once you put the word out there, people can always refer you. And referrals are like the one way that you can get jobs without hustling. You don't have to do too much, because people understand the quality of what you do. I see a lot of young people that are in my radar, and I know I may not have a job for them mentally, but at the moment, but I know mentally, like I know that, oh, this person is good with SOC. By virtue of what they talk about, if they have blog posts, I try to read them. And then those are key things that you can do also. Be visible, put your work out there. If you're learning anything, try as much as possible to maybe have a blog post or a YouTube channel or somewhere where you basically document your learning. I think it also goes a long way. And lastly, I know everybody always talks about certifications. Certifications are great because they validate your knowledge. However, if you don't exactly have a lot of funds to certify up, just focus on getting the core skills, focus on doing the labs you can do, and then reaching out. Whatever you are able to do, buff up your CV, reach out to people. They don't have to have an opportunity. Just reach out and tell them, oh, this is what I can do. This is how I can do it. This is how I can add value. I may not have any certification now, but I definitely can add value to you in this way. Again, you are just starting out. I don't think anybody expects that when you're starting out, you have it all figured out. Nobody expects that. So by doing that, by volunteering, by reaching out to people, you can then, they can start to refer you for jobs. And from then on, you can then start to save towards certifications that really help you get your foot in the door for better roles. But I think that when you're starting out, skill is way more important than anything else. So I think that's a summary of my 2 cents. I hope I didn't take too much time.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, thanks a lot, Chikodili. Right, insightful personal experience, and yeah, quite good. Thanks. Really appreciate. So I think
Thank
the
you.
question will come later. Then all the speakers will be able to address. But the last person that will talk now is James. Lumi will just give us like 5 minutes. Then we'll now entertain the question and answer. Lumi, are you there? I'm not sure if.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to be sure you can see me as well. If you can unmute my video, if you can start my video, Mr. Remy, that would be great. Yes. Thank you for inviting me to this forum. I'm really very grateful. I mean, I'll just pretty much just give a brief intro about myself and just perhaps maybe touch on a few areas that other people that have been talking hasn't actually pretty much covered. My name is James Ajayobe. I'm a cybersecurity consultant. I kind of, I've got experience spanning across various sectors of cybersecurity. Just a brief kind of journey of how I kind of landed myself into cybersecurity space. I started off as an IT kind of first line basic engineer, first line IT support, help desk, and needed to rise through the ranks, first line, second line, third line before moving to security, having to deal with end users, doing a lot of troubleshooting for networks, applications, and what have you, up and around data centers, resolving cybersecurity issues that users are getting, resolving issues on the network, resolving issues on the SAN, the storage area network, and also managing the organization, ensuring proper stability of IT environment. And during the course of my kind of engagement within the IT space, I realized there were a few gaps around securing the data and the networks that we pretty much manage. And that was how I kind of launched into cybersecurity. I was pretty much on the third line, finished first, second, and third line. I was a little bit struggling getting roles moving into fourth line because, of course, at that stage, I was pretty much roaming around third line engineer security, third line IT engineer, and to fourth line having to manage pretty much maybe 5,000 hosts on the VMware environment, having to kind of resolve networks, the routing networks, and manage the environment. And I talked to one of my senior colleagues, and we managed to get hold of Mr. Remy, who happens to kind of maybe give us some kind of insight as to what cybersecurity is all about. So transitioning from IT into cybersecurity is kind of a thin line from my perspective, pretty much nothing too much of a big change. As a standard IT engineer, what you pretty much focus more is about the availability of the systems. But transitioning to cybersecurity, you have to add a little bit of touch of security as well. So you initially considering, the system has to be available, but the system doesn't have to only be available, it has to be available in a secure manner. And that was the kind of the flavor Mr. Remy kind of, brought to us back then, because we were kind of, professional colleagues were struggling, pretty much moving up the career, and we needed the next challenge. And that was how we kind of launched into LeanSec, and LeanSec has been the platform that's actually, helped myself, and I believe pretty much maybe a large percentage of my colleagues to kind of stabilize our career path into cybersecurity. And it's been, on and on, going on with a lot of trainings from LeanSec, with a lot of educational development, career development from LeanSec is actually helped us to kind of, solidified and be fully established in the cybersecurity space. Just a brief of kind of touch through across everyone. Mr. Ade is actually talk around security architecture, and Mr. Bola has also talked about the SOC, and a lot of other people have talked about security, project management, and the likes. I would just like to perhaps just give people looking to kind of launch into cybersecurity some basic tips about what to expect. I mean, there are three pillars within cybersecurity, which is we call it the three triad. this CIA, this confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Everything we do in cybersecurity, everything that encompasses cybersecurity kind of, hangs around those three pillars. You looking to make sure that the data that is actually being transmitted across the network is in full, is experiencing full confidentiality. Users that do not need to have access are not able to have access. Lower level users or perhaps maybe lower cadre users that are not meant to be able to access certain areas of the network. You make sure that it's basically on the least privileged, you're not able to kind of, go into there, and the access that they've got is only specific for the job function they're looking to do. Integrity majorly is just making sure that the data are not tampered with. Lot of modifications of data. You want to make sure that the integrity of the data of the network is actually uploaded. Not unauthorized changes to the environment is actually pretty much controlled. That all ties into access control. And the last thing is the availability. You want to be sure that your data is always available as of when needed. So those are the three major things if you're looking to establish yourself in cybersecurity. If you, regardless of the career path you choose, you have to actually, put into consideration of the three core pillars. And in addition to that as well, within cybersecurity, all we do is basically manage risk. So whether from the GRC perspective, whether from the technical perspective, whether from the SOC analyst, what we're trying to do is to minimize risk. We cannot completely eradicate or maybe shut off cybersecurity risk, but we want to kind of minimize it to the bare minimum as much as we can. That includes, having to look out for suspicious activities, anomalies within the traffic, within the network, within the users. You want to look through around data loss prevention, where you've got insider threats or perhaps maybe external threat. Users looking to kind of steal sensitive information of the environment. You want to look through basically you want to look through the networks, ensuring that external perpetrators are not able to infiltrate your sensitive your corporate network. You want to look through the access control for the internal systems. Pretty much following basic cybersecurity standards across board. And in addition to that as well, talking about perhaps tools that can actually help. The tools are really very great learning curve. For you to establish your career path, having to go through trainings and having to kind of try to learn the tools yourself, and try to kind of maybe spin up a couple of labs if you're going through the route of the technical side. If not the technical side, just the couple of GRC tools that you can actually use around maybe third-party assurance tools and a couple of other things. So again, in addition to that as well, there are a couple of free trainings from technical sites. If Qualys offers a free training for around the vulnerability management, the application security, identifying threats, threat landscape, and the likes. And like the other speaker that spoke, Chidi or maybe Symbiat mentioned, you can actually, go through Udemy, try to kind of learn stuff as much as you can. It doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to kind of, go for the high-end training, but at least starting off from a place, try to learn something, try to, articulate the learning, you ensure that you're able to kind of interpret what you're learning to the real life situation happening. You try to kind of correlate what you're learning, what you're training on to what is actually happening, around your immediate space. Considering the current global around Russia and Ukraine, you want to kind of try to see if you're able to kind of maybe identify attack vectors or perhaps maybe threat model, pick up a particular scenario and try to, okay, how could an hacker or how could someone trying to gain suspiciously access into this environment, what are the means, or how could they actually make this environment non-secure? How could they gain unauthorized access into this environment? You can actually think about from physical security into putting in technical controls, or maybe picking up a particular systems or maybe a geographical environment and try to think about what could actually make this area not being able to fulfill the three triad of cybersecurity, CIA, the confidentiality, availability, and integrity. And from there, you'll be able to piece in, your framework in terms of what you need to do, how to kind of map in the necessary security controls you need to put in place, what the next step would need to be, how to manage the risk, around that particular asset, and that would give you some kind of very, very clear path to fully understand the asset and fully understand the potential areas that cyber perpetrators can actually, make that particular asset useless for that organization. Ransomware, DDoS attack, maybe third-party assurance, not properly validating a new third party that you're looking to bring on board into your environment, and most of all that view. And also, just to buttress on what Chidi mentioned, very, very important thing, with the career, having to launch a career within cybersecurity, you have to have a career roadmap. Quite very, very important. You don't just, onboard everything that comes your way because, okay, you hear someone is saying, okay, oh, CH is a good course, or perhaps maybe CSIM is a good course, or I need to get CSIM certification, or I need to go on this training. You have to be able to narrow down, what is your area of strength? What areas do you feel do you see yourself being able to kind of excel? You don't want to settle just for the ordinary. You want to position yourself in a way where once you move off from the level 1, you're able to progress to level 2, you're able to progress to level 3. And all of those things comes, with having a proper career roadmap and also your area of strengths around your skill set. Mr. Remy also talk about few soft skills around to engage in cybersecurity. You have to be able to look through to whether you pretty much maybe able to collaborate more better, or you pretty much able to kind of ensure that you're having attention to details, or perhaps maybe you're much more curious about what's happening around your environment. And that curiosity will lead you into, okay, having to find out what's the next thing that I need to do, and all that view. I mean, those are a few things that I feel quite very, very important. And also just touching very briefly around cloud security. And just a few bits. The next wave of move within things around security is pretty much the cloud, which has been driven by the MI, the machine learning, the artificial intelligence, the AI, and all that view. A lot of automation, a lot of orchestration. Pretty much that's the next wave. Traditionally, it's been primarily on-prem, but a lot of things are now moving to the cloud. The software as a service, the infrastructure as a service, the KPI as a service. A lot of things is now actually trying to move into the cloud. So pretty much, if you looking to establish your career within cybersecurity, don't just focus mainly around threats or that are currently on the physical level. Try to kind of simulate the threats also within the cloud environment. Get free training from Microsoft. There are lots of free training on Microsoft nowadays around the SOC platform, the Sentinel platform. Also, a lot of training to get you on board around the Kubernetes, the orchestration, which are much around the automation part, the CI/CD, the pipeline. A lot of free training around the identity access management. The Microsoft has got loads of free training that you can actually just enroll for and just get on board. And also, once you get you look into that, Microsoft also offers a free kind of platform to access to the environment. I think $150 per year. So you can just leverage on that free credit to be able to spin up stuff, to be able to use it to learn more, and to be able to gain more access. The same thing goes for AWS as well. They've also got I think 150 credit as well that you can also use to open up an account with them and to be able to lab stuff, or maybe go through some of the licenses and go through some of the offerings that they're offering on the platform around the cloud integration. So I wouldn't want to, bore us with much of my talking, but I think I was just kind of looking to kind of cover pretty much a few gaps that every speaker haven't actually been able to kind of cover, which I believe it would be helpful for people looking to for their journey in cybersecurity space.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lumi. Quite intense. So I think it's time for questions and answer now. For those that might have any question, I think you can just drop the questions in the chat box. So some people have started doing that. So we'll take it one after the other. I believe some of the speakers are here to help us out as well. So I think let me just scroll and look at the first version. Yeah. So the question from Elias is, are there any free certifications for entry-level individuals? Symbiat, are you able to point us in the direction of free certifications for entry levels?
Okay, I'm just going to quickly get the link. Cisco Netcard, they have this very amazing course. I think it's a 9-hour course on introduction to cybersecurity, and that's with actually the fact that you should actually have a basic IT knowledge and networking knowledge. Again, don't just dive into cybersecurity, but I'm going to just drop the link like a bit.
All right. Okay. Thank you. And I think Lumi also mentioned Qualys, so if you can drop those links as well, Lumi, so that
I will.
Click on that. Okay, that answers that. Then Abdulatif, so is there an entry-level role for GLC? Hafiz is not here. I think Hafiz is gone, but I think I can answer that question. Yeah, there's entry-level role for GLC for any of these cybersecurity roles that I've mentioned. You can come in as a GLC analyst, and start learning from there. But obviously, you will have come from any background, and you can also bring in that experience of your previous background on board. So yes, the answer is yes. Grace Osage, hi, good afternoon, thank you. Is third-party assurance an entry-level role? So it's not 100% entry-level role, but you can jump into that as well. I've seen people that their first, and I know a lot of people that their first security role is third-party security assurance. So yes, you can move into that as well. It's just a matter of understanding the risk assessment and all the issues that might occur if you onboard a third party. As a lawyer that wants to venture into GLC, what are the trainings and certifications I can take? Can any of the speakers, is there any of the speakers, I know Hafiz talk about, but is any of the speaker willing to answer this? As a lawyer that wants to venture into GLC, what are the trainings and certification I can take?
Okay, I'll just quickly say one thing about that. So data protection and privacy is one very interesting area of GRC at the moment, and a lot of lawyers are actually diving into that bit. So you can look at data protection and privacy, and there is certification by I think IAPP. It's called Certified Information Privacy Manager. And I think there are like 1 or 2 organizations in Nigeria that actually takes the training, assists with training really, and certifications as well. So I want to just look that up. Was that audible? I'm not sure if everyone heard me.
Oh, we'll meet you for just a second.
Oh, okay. I was just saying data protection and privacy, right, is one area that a lot of lawyers are diving into. when it comes to GRC. And there's a certification called, I think one of it is Certified Information Privacy Manager. And they're like, I know about 2 organizations that actually does that actually does that training in Nigeria. So I mean, you may want to like just look that up. I could just share the link if I find it before the end of this.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. So the next question is from Afis Olubugi. I have CCNA certification and I'm looking to go into learning ethical hacking before going for my master's in cybersecurity in UK. Please kindly advise if those certifications is enough for me to go ahead. Want to take that?
Well, I can just throw some light on that. First of all, I think it depends on what the entry requirement is for the program. I'm thinking it's a master's cybersecurity program in the UK that you want to enroll for. So it depends on the entry requirements as well. Sometimes they look at work experience and maybe a degree. Not necessarily the courses. I mean, the courses can help you, but I think you need to check what the entry requirement is. And if you have work experience, then that's a good requirement that you can use. But I don't necessarily think the certification will help you, but for them, I don't know how much that would be something that they would consider. So they'll look at your experience, they'll look at maybe a first degree and what you came out with in the first degree. So check what the entry requirement is for the program.
All right, thank you. So Ryan asks, what advice will you give someone transitioning from a non-IT background to a technical side of cybersecurity in terms of finding employment from employers who might be particular about hiring people with an IT or computer science background? Chico Dili, can you answer that? Somebody that transitioning from a non-IT background to a technical side.
Okay, thank you for that question. So what I would normally advise, right, is leverage your soft skills. I'm very big on that, because we all have skills. For instance, somebody mentioned earlier about a lawyer trying to transition. That's a non-technical background. You already know how to review contracts, you know how to read policies, you understand the concepts of compliance and risk management. So those kind of skills are skills that are transferable from one industry to another. Look for something that is close enough to what you do in cybersecurity. If you all your life you've been doing customer support, what are the kind of industries or what are the kind of companies that require you to do customer support for cybersecurity roles? You can be a security support person, right? Help organizations. Oh, we have this issue, we want to troubleshoot it. That can be something that you can transition into. So what I would normally advise is, as much as possible, think about what you currently do. It might sound funny, but literally take a pen and paper, write out all your soft skills, and then start to map it. Okay, what roles within cybersecurity require this kind of soft skills that I already have spent years honing? Once you can do that mapping, then you start to see similarities with roles that you can take up. Also, a good hack is Googling. We have a lot of references like Quora and Reddit, where we see a lot of people asking questions. Oh, I'm new to cybersecurity. I have experience with training. Maybe someone who has been a teacher. It can be a great security awareness trainer, because more often than not, you find that a lot of security people are so in their head spaces with the technical details, and they're not very good teachers. But somebody who has always been teaching and wants to delve into cybersecurity, it's much easier to use all those natural skills, persuasion, on all those teaching skills basically that people have. You can use all of that and leverage that. Just learn security, and then all that skills you have, add it on top of the security knowledge you now have to fly from then on. So I think that's one thing I would advise.
All right, thank you very much, Chikobi.
Thank you.
I think the last question is, because the last question on the chat box is, I'm currently studying cybersecurity MSc. I do not have a prior professional experience in the field. I've been in customer service bank prior to my master's program. I'm interested in information security. What should be my starting point? I think you've answered the question, really, because you're already studying the MSc in cybersecurity. Except somebody wants to add. Does any of the speakers want to add? Because the question from Tolu Lokwe is, looking at the background, got customer service in the bank, master's program now, interested in information security. What should be the starting point?
Well, I mean, I can give an example of, because I currently work for a bank, and there was a number of 2 individuals that went to do a cybersecurity master's program, and they came into the team. They've worked with the bank in a different department, maybe IT, but not necessarily within the cybersecurity type team. So I think within the bank, look within your organization, look for opportunities. Let your boss know that you are what you're studying and you want opportunities within the cybersecurity team within the organization. I think look internal first, and like I said, let your boss know. There's possibly going to be some programs that the course would offer you. I can't remember what those programs are called, but if you get offered, try and go on those courses, because those programs, they can be like a 3-month type program for potential employers, and that can also be a pathway for you to get started. But basically, just take note of everything that we have said today, because that would also help you. So you need to be looking at different possible pathways, but I think we should start internal first.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hadi. So I think we're rounding up now, taking all the questions. Thanks a lot for everyone that attended this webinar. It's been quite intensive, and a lot of information has been shared. We're going to publish this on YouTube so that if you want to watch all over again, you can watch. We'll email the presentation to you so that you can go through them. I must thank all the speakers on behalf of the management of LINSEC. Very much thank all our speakers, Ade, Afiz, Balaji, Chikodile, Simbiat, and Lumi. We really appreciate calling upon you and coming to share your experience. Thanks a lot. And for everyone that have attended, please keep in touch with us. If you need anything, just ping us at via Twitter, Instagram, and you can email training@lindsec.com, and we try as much as possible to attend to you. Thanks a lot, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.